Welcome to Earful of Dirt. I'm Aaron Castro. I'm joined by Craig Gradelli, American RFC, and Josh Fredland, a.k.a. Leet Speak Fred on Twitter, or Crayola in Leet Speak, again. In a sense, I think not a lot of stuff happened this week, but a decent amount of news that is enough not only for us to get a show, but to where we can actually talk about it in detail and not necessarily have to, I guess, fit, a lot of information in 75 to 90 minutes. So to give you some MLR analysis, per se, everyone out there who are, we got a viewer, so maybe they'll comment. But first, how'd the week go? How was the weekend?
Mine was great. I played rugby yesterday for the first time in a year and a half. Played 80 minutes in the front row. So, I'm feeling the consequences today, but it was a lot of fun. And we won the game. So that was a blast. And I tailgated the Giants game today, which was also fun, but unfortunately the outcome wasn't as positive.
Can't hear you, Josh. You need to get your mic situation sorted too.
Here I am, slaving away getting a microphone.
What? I have a mic. I fixed it. Well, I can't hear
you.
Is it working now?
Yes, okay. It's working now.
I pressed the wrong button. That is my fault.
Clap it up for Joshua.
That is my fault. I actually had to watch two of my teams lose yesterday, and then Denver's losing right now. So, yeah.
I attended ASU Law. ASU beat Michigan State, and my girlfriend attended Michigan State Law. So that was interesting. And ASU defeated. One of our trusty friends wants your stats, man. He wants to know how many rucks you entered. He wants your stats just like I give. Just like I give every Monday night during the season for MLR players, he wants your MLR level stats.
All right. Well, I didn't keep stats, but I would say, I hit a lot of rocks. That's for sure. That's an easy one for a forward. I probably had 10 carry. I had a knock on, so that was depressing. They called me for a high tackle, though I don't think I was actually guilty of a high tackle. What else? That was pretty much it. I stole a few lineouts that were overthrown from the jumpers. But mostly I'm just there for the scrum. So
he wants to know how many scrums you lost. How many scrum penalties did you receive?
Any scrums? I don't know if we turned any over, but we were definitely pushing forward every time. So I was pretty happy with the scrumming, especially after such a long break for me.
So, hey, Larry, CMS does exist. So if you are an American rugger out there and your team doesn't input at least your name, your roster onto CMS, they're doing nobody any favors. I think if we had good CMS stats keeping, because most teams don't. In fact, I want to say the only good stats I've ever seen pulled from CMS was Reichert Hadding had some amazing stats in the Midwest Premiership one year. But you were like, look at how many, I think it was his carries to try ratio was something like for every 3 carries he had 1 try. It was, kind of amazing. But he came through the Bulls Academy, so of course he should be able to tear up a D1 league. Who was your man of the match?
It was probably our fly half, Mike Halsey. Also, kind of along with me, there were probably 4 or 5 of the kind of semi-old boys playing here for New York Rugby Club in the D4 side. He was one of them. I think he was traditionally a center, but he played fly half. Had a lot of good line breaks. kicked for us. So I think it was a pretty well-balanced effort. I think we scored 40-some-odd points. But if I had to pick a guy, I would pick him.
I'm a big fan of if we could get it going like that sort of vets rugby old boys every week culture in this country, although apparently I'm too young for that. But if we could get like a Friday night league pretty much everywhere where I guess there's a preseason, you have like 4 or 5 practices, but then you just like the vets, because it's like basically D4 social type rugby. We play on Friday night, just like softball. You don't practice. You have a couple preseason practices, so you know what system you're going to run on attack, and you play man on defense because defensive systems in social rugby are just not my cup of tea. But if we could do that, I think you could like get a lot more people playing rugby to where you have, to an extent, a softball-like culture, except no drinking beer at halftime. No.
Maybe. We'll see.
Maybe.
I can't see everyone on the team. I didn't have any beer, but I was also nearly dead by halftime. So,
moving on. Yeah, so we're gonna live our life through. We're gonna live our life somewhat through Craig. If I can get away with it, I will try to show up for preseason this year. I don't know if I can, but we will see. Onto MLR, we will get into some club games that do sort of have some MLR implications. I know Liam isn't here, and I know he likes to pump up Mystic, but sorry, guys. You guys got another sideways score this week. But we're going to keep it tight with the first. Everything else basically is about signings, I think. So John Persh, Chief Commercial Officer of Major League Rugby. They're bringing the commercial capability in-house. At least in season 1, they had hired Mike Jacquet as a commercial consultant, and he got like the deals done with CBS and ESPN Plus, and I think was part of the X-Blades thing. But now we're looking to bring that in-house and get at least some sponsors in, maybe not a named sponsor, but more money and people invested in the league. I think that is just having the capability that is full-time is very important. Looking at his resume, his last I forget the last company he was working with partnerships with, but if you look at the one before that, I know he is a rugby guy, but I think I don't really look at his USA Rugby time as necessarily really relevant. The one that jumps out at me, though, is he was VP of like international partnerships for the WWE. Like that is huge. I think someone in the entertainment business leveraging those connections and bringing that in, I think that's a big thing to bring for Major League Rugby when you look at his varied experience across sports. And the fact that he is a rugby guy helps because he's ingrained in that culture.
Yeah, love it. I love that they are aware. MLR as an organization is aware enough to realize the importance of having someone like that. And it seems like they saw the landscape, brought him in, realized something they needed to do going forward. So, I'm glad they're seeing the commercial side. And I'm very curious to see what I don't want to relive the flow discussion, but I'm very curious to see what broadcasters and sponsors are there for season 3.
Yeah, then we'll dig into some coach signings. Greg McWilliams, Rugby United New York. It's kind of been out there, but finally announced. I won't say his whole resume, but currently he is the attack coach for the USA Eagles and director of rugby for Yale. So, and has been for the last director of rugby at Yale for the last 3 years or 4 years rather. And what he's done previous to. Like he's done a lot of coaching in Ireland before coming to the United States, but was the provincial Leinster U19 coach, head coach, and also the attack coach for Ireland women in 2013, or is it 2014 in the Rugby World Cup? They went to the semifinals in 2013. They won the Grand Slam in the Six Nations. So as far as a coach is concerned, he's got a pretty good resume. I will say he's a friend of mine, so I think he's a great guy. But as far as, adding like domestically available coaches, he would be one of the top candidates for me to become a director of rugby / head coach in Major League Rugby.
Yeah. Also, again, as a somewhat biased, Rooney fan here, but I think it's a great pickup. He's an Irishman in a team with very strong Irish roots. He's a guy that I think he's a skills over systems type. I think coaches kind of tend to break up over, whether they're really structure and system focused or they're individual skill focused. And I think he's a skill guy, which I think is good for a team in a league, a team like Rooney in a league like MLR, where, these people maybe didn't grow up with the systems the way international rugby players have. And it's not as natural. It's a little slower going. I think skills are something that can be more quickly identified and turned into value. So I think it's a great signing for Rooney, and excited to see what they do. Now they've had two USA, both their head coaches have been USA coaching staff here in Rooney. So we'll see how that turns out.
Yeah, I guess. Yes, I think he is a good skills developer, but I will counter. He's a very big X's and O's guy. If you really get him in, like the Eagles were running the 1-3-3-1 when under Mitchell, and they ran the 1-3-3-1 under McWilliams as attack coach for a while, and they still do. It's still part of the total package, but they've inserted a lot of 1-3-2-2 attack phase play into this. So I think you're going to get getting a high level coach that understands how to develop players in general. You don't come from, being a high level, high school and senior club coach to being a provincial head coach to being the attack coach for, two different national teams, one being a women's and one being a men's, without having that ability as a coach. You see that a lot in rugby for some of the best coaches out there. And so I think it's a good hire. I wonder who the rest of the staff is going to be. I know they hired another guy from Ireland. I think Tiffay is coming back, but everyone else is sort of up in the air for now. So I look forward to filling out the New York staff. And like I said, I think it's a good hire, especially because he is embedded in the American system as being a college coach. So he definitely, and then also being an Eagles coach, he definitely knows what the landscape is.
Yep.
Moving on, the other coaching hire was Chris Toombs to the Seattle Seawolves. He previously had coached, done S&C development with Atavus Rugby before returning to England to work with a county cricket board. I think was it. Forget Northamptonshire County Cricket Club, which are in the 2020 T20 Blast champions. Sorry, I have no idea there. But I think the important stuff, I don't necessarily look at the cricket stuff as important, is that he was also the S&C coach for Cardiff Blues for like 9 years. So when it comes to his rugby background, this guy has been at the cutting edge of strength and conditioning in England and the UK for a very long time. So bringing him over, it's another good add with their addition behind Keys Lensing and Phil Mack.
There's a great quote from Keys on the Seattle website with the story announcing this signing. It opens with a quote, which is the most forwardy quote you could ever imagine. It just says, I'm just going to read it right here. It says, "The strength and conditioning coach is the cornerstone of any professional sports team." Like, all right. Very forward mentality there. I appreciate that. So there you have it. The new cornerstone of the Seattle Seawolves, Chris Toombs.
Hey, I don't think that strength and conditioning wasn't really a problem for them last year. I when it comes to, I guess, playing San Diego 2 out of 3, guess what? It's funny because they did the same thing to Glendale in season 1. 2 out of 3, beat them in the final. All that matters. So, I think it's a good ad. I do think it's interesting, the intent to continuously go foreign. Overall, this is sort of a not necessarily a criticism of the hire, just in like there are qualified S&C people in the United States, just that you don't have to get a visa for. Although he has previously worked here, so he shouldn't have any visa problems.
I was going to say I should have asked this when Keys was hiring. Does this mean their luck running out is going to cost them the championship? Because it seems like having visa problems has led to this.
I know. It's like, I guess.
Well, I don't know. In Seattle, I mean, just because they signed it doesn't mean his visa issue is sorted.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess we'll find out. But with Keys, I mean, he's already on an active visa, so you just have to change the sponsor, which isn't too hard. But I don't think Chris will have an issue with getting a visa to be a strength and conditioning coach in MLR.
Seattle fans out there, let us know when you've seen him on the ground.
But and then let's dig into players now. Really, only one team announced multiple players this week, but the first one we'll look at, I guess, was actually the last one, is Sean Riley. He's a utility back wing center that played for NOLA Gold. He dressed for 3 games, started in 1 and appeared in 2 total games. Young guy, relatively young guy, I guess. Good to see, guys willing to come back. I would say Sean's likely, just based on where he was last year, a depth guy, and you always need guys to play. At the end of the day, some people may look at this interestingly, but
I think Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Sean Riley is one of the few players who was signed from an unknown player who was in a combine. I think in like a 2018 combine, he was signed relatively unknown.
I think it was the Charlotte combine.
Yeah, I think it was the Charlotte combine, but I also believe Sean played in pro, so he was playing like D2 club rugby.
Well, he played with the Ohio Aviators too.
Yeah, so he played in pro. So he could have, as there are some players out there that played in pro that don't want to move anymore. There's like. They just don't. So I immediately go, if you don't want to move, then, well, this is the nature of professional sport in this country. Whether you're making $40 million or $6,000, you better be willing to move.
We know which one it is in the MLR.
Yeah,
not the 40 million. Yeah, but I think I did. I mean, so I guess he wasn't complete unknown, but it just made me think about the pipeline to MLR and how I think I would imagine we all kind of presume in a few years' time, maybe even up to this year, the major pipeline will be college because all the active men's players that are good enough to be in MLR will have been found and brought into an MLR fold somewhere. But, I think as we think of all these expansion teams, people always worry about, are we overexpanding, are we diluting the talent pool? As long as they're still pulling people from combines, I think that's a good sign in terms of the overall talent pool, even though I think that was a year ago.
I mean, Houston is going to have another combine. I know Austin's supposed to have one. I know that New York either did or is going to have one.
Yep.
And combines aren't necessarily about finding rugby players. It's about finding athletes. If they happen to play rugby, that is helpful.
Glendale's having their second crossover combine. I think they either had it or are going to have it.
There may be a fundraising aspect of these combines too, which I understand. But
I mean, $25 and you get a shirt and lunch. That's, I think your fee ends up paying for liability insurance. That's
very true. Yeah.
So and then then we'll go into San Diego. Cue whatever comments you want to have, folks. That's cool. Lou Stanfield, Sweet Lou is back. I knocked on the door, the proverbial door, and said, "Can Lou come out to play?" And his wife said, "Lou could come out to play." Awesome that it works for them. I definitely saw a guy that had a renaissance as a player this year. He had one of the highest work rates in Major League Rugby, and honestly, if the economics of rugby were kind of different, he might have been in this Eagles squad. Like, to be honest, like he was that good of a player this year.
Yeah, agreed. I actually kind of thought, towards the end of the season, I was thinking he would be in the Eagles squad. He was in, if I remember, I think he was in that 50-man super expanded roster. He had a great year, a great sign. I mean, San Diego is really just putting depth on depth here. And I think we're about to talk about Luke Burton too. I mean, locks, fly halves. They've really got a monopoly on a lot of talent there, but just keeps. I guess this is a re-signing, but the depth keeps getting better out there.
Well, I mean, to be fair, would you not want to live in San Diego?
I mean, I'd love to live in San Diego.
You coach forever, Josh.
I know it's not cost effective, but I mean that does have
3 hours off all the time.
If someone wants to find me a bedroom at low cost, we might move tomorrow. And then the next signing that they had this week was Luke Burton. He is a fly half with Biarritz and of the Western Force when the Western Force was in Super Rugby. So he'll probably be anywhere from fullback to center to fly half behind Joe Peterson. But
where does he play? That's my question. He's got to start, right? But at what position? They're settled with every back.
I mean, if you look at like they are bringing they're going to have so much depth this year. So much depth.
And I guess maybe he sends Dylan Osley to the bench and he plays center. I mean, I don't know. It's especially their backfield depth is ridiculous.
Yeah. And then Old Glory, this was rumored a little bit, but Dylan Taikato Simpson has been officially announced as having left Glendale and will be like the fullback for Old Glory as far as I know, maybe even the fly half instead. He's got those kind of skills. He's if anyone watched the Raptors this week, he's the kind of guy you wouldn't give up. I wouldn't let BTS go. So
I thought he was even underappreciated a little last year. He was very electric every time he had the ball. Josh, what is going on? Is anyone left in Glendale?
I don't know. They've been quiet. It's been quiet.
Henko is left. If I go by the USA Rugby roster, Henko is left.
Well, it's Henko and Davies. And I think Luke White.
On the roster. What the hell?
Henko Davies and Luke White. I think that's it. But they've been strangely quiet since announcing the new coach and a forwards coach.
Yeah.
So
the next one's kind of interesting. Houston Sabercats signed, I think he's 19, maybe 20, is this utility back out, Zach Godfrey, who's U.S. eligible, either grandma or mom or dad or grandpa. Don't know exactly, but he's U.S. eligible. Was a Leicester U18. This last year he played in the Ealing Academy, total utility back, guessing either a fullback behind Osea Kalinisau or will be fly half depth or even 9 depth, honestly.
So he's not going to be blocked from getting on the field?
I don't know. All I know is Kieran Farmer played like 12 minutes in 2 games last year at fly half. So yeah. Let's manage. Let's do some minutes management. Let's not run Sam Windsor into the ground for a third consecutive year, not second consecutive year, but third consecutive year. Let's not do that because rugby's hard on the body. And people, I guess there was a question on Reddit. What is the level? We usually get a question on Reddit about the level of play in MLR
from the same guy
every month, maybe. And
from the same
guy.
guy.
I gotta say is not only do you have to talk about the level of rugby, but the level of wear and tear. Most of the guys on the teams still work regular jobs, so you're looking at 30 to 40 hours of real work a week. Then you're adding in S&C sessions, which is 4 to 5 hours a week. Then you're adding in field work, which is 4 to 5 hours a week, depending on the team. Some teams have a more full-time schedule, so they might have 6 hours of field work. And then you have games. So that's a lot of wear and tear, especially if you're someone that lives far away. And there are some guys that live very far away from the team they're on. So, but interesting signing, I thought. That one. But if you are a U.S. passport holder and you are, like third in counties or second in counties behind, say, Owen Farrell, which was Will McGee. At county trials, there was Owen Farrell and there was Will McGee. And Will was like, and I knew I was never going to qualify for England.
You see Will Hooley's article,
Yeah.
similar theme. There's like individual hit pieces, not hit pieces, but individual, like pump up pieces coming out for the different Eagles. I've seen the Will Hooley version. I've seen the Dylan Fawcett one where there's like a picture of him sitting cheekily up against the wall. So we'll see. I wonder if a few more of these will come out before they actually kick off.
Yeah. Seattle's kits. What do you guys think of the concept?
I mean, I like it. It is a way to get the fans involved.
Oh, you're talking about using the season ticket holder names. I didn't know what you're getting at. Yeah. No, I don't like it. I mean, it may be good for business, but I don't really like it as a connoisseur of kits per se.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I think as a fan and season ticket holder service / engagement, it is kind of cool. What it does say is now what you could do is if every team decided to do this, you could do a special season ticket holder edition of your jersey, and you play one game in that, and every season ticket. And this goes into like fan engagement at the NFL type level, where you have 1,500 season ticket holders as part of their package. Every season ticket holder in MLR or whatever, like say you do this type, like member appreciation, because I think San Diego is marketing their season tickets as memberships, not just tickets, but as like a club membership. So you do member appreciation week throughout the league, and all the teams roll out in their, member appreciation jerseys, and as part of that package, the season ticket holder gets a jersey in the mail when they get their tickets. That's a cool idea.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's good. It's definitely good community engagement, and Seattle's great at that. The community there is super into the team. It's very clear. I mean, they travel. Got to be better than any other team in MLR. So whatever they're doing is obviously working. So I'm not here to criticize. Their approach to that, concept, but this one, just aesthetically, I'm not sure it's going to look great.
So are we talking the need for like MLB player weekend uniforms, stuff like that?
Yeah,
I think that's not a bad idea. I mean, try some things out. If they work, keep them going. If they don't, you scrap it and do something else.
What was it? The Seattle did a good one, and then San Diego did a good one for Memorial Day weekend at the military appreciation. You had specific. Actually, you can see the scarf that Seattle had for Memorial Day weekend for military appreciation, and then I have a hat. They hooked me up. Thank you. I have a hat somewhere, but what San Diego did, they did a custom camo jersey that all 23 of those jerseys throughout the game were up for live auction. Partnered with the Travis Manion Foundation. And so if you were in the stadium, you were like silent auctioning during the game. So fans bought those that day and they raised money for the Travis Manion Foundation. So that's cool. So like literally every jersey that was being worn, like the players took them off and sweaty, here you go. But that's kind of cool. You get the jersey right away. And then I want to say, what was the? Oh yeah, let's get into games this week. Obviously NYRC rolled out, and Craig is gonna have to drink like 5 beers after this, but just to numb the stiffness.
Yeah, when you just turned around to look at your wall, I got like an empathetic pain in my neck from seeing that type of rotation.
And then so club games with MLR implications. I need to look to see if there are many MLR players in the Midwest Premiership. I'm not sure. I know Angus McClellan played for his home club, the Lions, last year during the fall. But in the ARP, there were 2 score lines. I saw most of one of these games because it was on Facebook. But the first game, which was not on Facebook, was Life beat Mystic 32-10. This is after 404 beat Mystic like 50-20 last week. And the reason why these both have MLR implications is because the Life Senior Men's Club team and the 404 rugby team have a lot of guys who are either signed for Atlanta or aspiring to be signed for Atlanta and are competing for contracts. And then a lot of the Mystic team that is playing in the ARP now is going to play for the New England Free Jacks. So you're actually, compared to last season, you're seeing a much higher level. Last 2 seasons, really, you're seeing a much higher level of play in the Atlantic Rugby Premiership or American Rugby Premiership or whatever a word they're going by this year, because it seems to change depending on who's calling the game.
Yeah.
I kid you not.
I don't know what it is, but yeah, ARP something.
So there was that. Then I saw the 404 on Facebook defeated Old Blue 45-6. I will say the physical intensity and pace of this match for both teams was really high. Like these guys hit the ruck pretty hard. The ball went wide a lot, and it was there was a lot of skill like on display, a lot of kicking, and then you saw some interesting players suiting up for Old Blue, like Lerone White, loosehead for Austin Elite. So I wonder if that means he ends up with New York. I'm not trying. Just it makes sense that someone who runs off to play with Old Blue is going to end up with New York possibly. Although it didn't happen with Cam Dolan, he ended up signing with New Orleans. So either Lerone White goes back to Austin or he goes somewhere else. However, he is getting high-level scrummaging against some guys he will face off in the MLR by playing for Old Blue. But I think overall, when you look at that scoreline, you had guys like Mark O'Keefe, the Cowboy, Connor Wallace-Sims on Old Blue. Sam Perry was on that team. I don't think – if I'm Dom Waring, I'm concerned. Or maybe if I'm Dom Waring, I'm concerned about what we're able to do. If I'm, Scott Lawrence, who's sort of acting a director of rugby type role right now, and Naysay Malifa is coaching this team, like you got to be pleased. 2 really good performances back to back in what is the high level club comp for that is just it's a preseason. You're going to do like 8 games early, like you're going to be done by the end of October. Boys are going to have a month and a half off before you start camp. So far, both Life and 404 are just kicking it.
Is it just me, or does every expansion team and expansion team surrogate, whatever, play great before they join the MLR? Like every year, like Rooney before they joined, they beat Mystic 50-0 or something like that. And Ontario Arrows, what they were called back then, was like smoked Glendale. Then now we had the Free Jacks this past season played Rooney very close. You got these Atlanta teams doing great. It's like every team that's come in and seen anything for Old Glory yet, so let's watch their scrimmages. But it's like every expansion team is just destroying things in the preseason, so it's encouraging.
I think it's in a controlled way. It's very good to have those preseason setups, unlike where, as we saw, didn't really work out well, was the Sabercats preseason in year one, where they played 16 games. Because the reality is the players are still in different environments. They're not playing for the MLR team. So they're playing for somebody else. So the pressure to perform at a specific level isn't there. So it allows them to grow in separately from that development system, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And again, and just as a larger point, going into 2019, I did not think that New York and Toronto would be typical expansion teams where they're usually slow starting. They're not as good. It takes a while to catch up. And now I'm getting the same sense this year that these expansion teams aren't going to be someone you could assume is going to finish at the bottom of the table. So we'll have to watch. But as far as I can tell right now, it looks like they're they're going to be right in the mix.
I think they've sort of got the right model right now. I don't necessarily think that model will work in years, like maybe next year works, but I don't necessarily think that model will work like between years 5 to 10, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So first Rugby World Cup game, Thursday morning, Japan versus Russia. Who you got?
Thursday morning. Wasn't it Friday morning? Anyway,
Friday morning. It says the 20th. So that'd be Friday morning.
Yeah. I have Japan. Going to the quarterfinals. Let's put it that way.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Home team playing great. I know I think they might have got some injuries in the warm-ups there, but and I haven't seen an update on that. But putting that aside for the bigger picture, I just think they've been trending very well. And with the World Cup in Japan, I think they're going to surprise people.
So there's that. I guess to leave everyone with disclaimer, whoever watched the show, thank you very much. I think I'm going to have Corey sort of insert a long blurb, but just let you know, Liam, who's not here today, he works for the New England Free Jacks. Anything he says is his personal opinion and not an endorsement by his employer. Aaron Castro, also work for Major League Rugby, and anything I've said on this podcast is not an endorsement of my employer. So with that, thank you everyone who tuned in for our quick show. We will be back next week, and we will go over some of the World Cup games and all of the latest news and notes for Major League Rugby.